Hi guys, welcome to our very first AWS conference, which is hosted by DevOps.lk. So the main purpose of this discussion is to spread the awareness of usage of cloud computing and how we can utilize AWS to overcome the issues we are facing with our traditional computing system and etc. So I think this will be kind of a great advantage for you to learn about new technologies and how to utilize cloud for your daily requirements when it's come to the operation. So with me I have Patum Fernande and Chaturang Vikramasinghe. So apart from him, those two guys, we have Amila Kumanayak also. So now it is up to these three guys to continue with our discussion. So now I am giving my control to Patum Fernande to continue with this AWS introduction. So Patum, now it is up to you to continue with this discussion.
Hello, everyone. Uh, Thanks for the introduction, Damit. So, as for the many of your request, we're supposed to conduct this session today. So, let me share my screen with you. Uh, I think you all guys can see my screen. So today we are going to talk about more cloud technologies. Be more focused to AWS web service. And so in this session, we divide into two parts. One is the seventh reference model in AWS and the more advanced topic. Advanced topic covered by Chaturanga and Amila. So myself, I'm going to cover the seventh reference AWS reference model. So here are the topics that I cover. So mainly focused to AWS 7 reference model, AWS storage, content delivery, compute service, and networking. Overview of AWS management service, database, event-driven scaling. You guys probably know this as auto scaling. Deployment and management, review of large-scale design patterns, planning of high availability and disaster recovery. So last two topics I'm not going to cover in my session. So Chaturanga and Amila will cover those things in details. Let's move to the slide then. Okay, I'm starting with cloud computing. What is the cloud compute? So during the last couple of years, people more talk about cloud computing. So every corner in IT industry, they more talk about cloud computing. So people try to engage their data centers with cloud technologies and create their data centers into the cloud platform. What is actually this cloud is? So let me explain with the real world example. So just imagine your electricity in your home, and you get the electricity from the main grid, and you consume your electricity, and at the end of the month you pay the bill. So in that case, you don't need to worry about the main grid equipment, nothing. So you just pay what you actually use. The same thing can be applied into the cloud technologies. You don't need to worry about the underlying infrastructure, data center, hardware layer, nothing. You don't need to worry about. So there are a lot of cloud service providers available in out there. They manage all those infrastructure on behalf of you. So let's look at the definition of cloud computing. Cloud computing is a utility service which utility service gives you access to technology service managed by the expert and available on demand. So I want to emphasize here two things. It's managed by expert and available on demand. So managed by expert is you don't need to worry about the underlying infrastructure. That means you don't need to worry about the data center. You don't need to worry about the other component hardware equipment. So those are managed by the expert in the industry. So you just take care of your infrastructure, which be built on top of those environment. So, and available on demands means is the key factor in the cloud computing. You don't need to worry, you don't need to pay all the things, but you have to pay only for the only things that you use. Okay, what are the attributes of cloud computing? The best thing is fast time to marketplace. So let's imagine you are trying to deploy the new application, and you almost complete your code, and it's now ready to deploy your application. So when it comes to on-premise data center, you have to you have to deploy your infrastructure, and you need to buy the hardware equipment and ACs. You need to buy you need to hire a hardware technician guy to take care of those equipment. Uh, in cater all those things, you need to spend more time and more value in your business. But when it comes to cloud technology, once your code complete, you just need to deploy your application on top of the application. uh, that is the biggest advantage we can gain from the cloud technology. And the other one is pay what you use. Actually, in cloud service providers, there are a lot of services available in cloud service. You don't need to pay all those things once you are engaged with the cloud. uh, Actually, you need to pay what actually used, and no need capex for your infrastructure. So you can just just engage with the cloud technologies, and you can use and you can pay as you go. Let's move to the Amazon Web Services. What is Amazon Web Service? Amazon Web Service is the main cloud service provider in available in out there. There are a lot of service providers available in, but the Amazon service provider is the most leading cloud service provider. So it has very reliable and scalable and inexpensive cloud computing service in the world. According to the articles, almost 80% of industry they move to AWS cloud platform. So you can free to join. So it has a 1 year free tier, and you can join, and you can try and do your POC on the free tier. According to a 2016 Gartner report, here you can see the Amazon Web Service is the most leading cloud service provider, and there are a lot of cloud service provider available in out there, such as Microsoft, Google, Rackspace. There are a lot of, but uh, the Amazon Web Service is the most leading cloud service provider. Those are the customers now AWS resources use. Here I put some list of customers like NASA, Netflix. Netflix is the biggest customer right now in the AWS, and Twitter, WordPress. There are a lot of reputed customers in the AWS right now. Then let's move to the AWS reference model. These are the 7 reference model in AWS: deployment and administration, app services, compute, storage, database, networking, AWS global infrastructure. So I'm going to talk about more details under this topic. Let's look at the global infrastructure. This is a global map. Here you can see regions, edge locations, and availability zones. When it comes to regions, regions is uh, region is a collections of AWS resources, and it's separate geographically. Uh, Here you can see there are 16 region available in right now. Inside the region, you can see more than 2 availability zones. So regions, it's of course it's cater the high availability in AWS infrastructure, and it provide more stability. So uh, in the region, you can see more than 2 availability zone deployed. So in that case, when you deploy your application, so better to use those availability zone. So once if let's say if one availability zone go down, so other one will take care of your load, and there is no downtime at any point. So two new region coming soon, and so that altogether it will be 18 regions. uh, when it comes to edge location, so edge location is used for content delivery. So when you access your content in different location, so these edge location very useful. Without latency, you can access this edge your content. So there are more than 50 edge location available in AWS entire infrastructure. That means every corner in the world it cover. There won't be any delay when you access. If you use right service in AWS, there won't be any delay, any circumstances. Okay, then we move to the networking. So I'm basically talk about four services which provide by AWS: Direct Connect, VPN connection, Virtual Private Cloud, and Route 53. Direct Connect is you can use as a direct link to AWS cloud platform and your on-premise data center. You can directly talk with your ISP, and you can get the direct link to the AWS cloud. That means you can access the AWS resources without latency, and you can manage it as your own data center. So VPN, it's called virtual private network. You can terminate VPN connection with your VPC and your on-premise data center. You can create a secure connections. Even though the traffic route through the internet, it's secure. Secure. That's why we need a VPN. If you need any secure connection, I rather recommend to go with VPN connection with your data center and on-premise data center and the cloud. So virtual private cloud. Virtual private cloud, we simply known as VPC. So VPC, we required to deploy your application in the AWS. If you are going to create instance on top of the AWS, you definitely require the VPC. VPC. VPC isolate your resources with other customers in AWS. So that means you definitely require the VPC if you are try to use AWS. Route 53. Route 53 is the DNS service provider in AWS. This is very powerful DNS service provider. It's high available and it's scalable domain service. You can use this as your DNS service provider if you are moving to cloud. Okay, let's talk about compute. So Elastic Compute Cloud, simply known as EC2. So basically you can create EC2 instance. You can define your CPU, memory, hard disk capacity, and all those things you can define when you are creating your instance. You can create a more large instance. There are 13 instance type available in AWS. You can use all those things, and it is the basic units of in the cloud AWS in AWS. When it comes to auto scaling, I just want to talk about more about auto scaling. So this is the very a handy feature in AWS. If you are use auto scaling, you can have 99.99 uptime. So let's say your application, let's say you deploy your application on top of the AWS, and initially you have two clients, but for the time beings, your company growth, uh, your customer base quite high now. Now the load is coming towards your servers, and your minimum server can't handle those things. In that case, if you use auto scaling, you can trigger the CloudWatch alarm based on memory or CPU. If some value match or exceed the value, you can instruct the auto scaling group to launch a new instance and add it to the pool. That is the biggest advantage we can gain. So the similar way, the if in non-peak times, you can reduce the instance from your pool, and therefore you can reduce the cost as well. uh, okay, elastic load balancing. Elastic load balancing is required when you deploy your application across the multiple availability zone. You definitely require the elastic load balancer. So let's say you deploy your application in two different zones. You need to load balance your application. So in that case, you require to elastic load balancer. Elastic load balancer, it support auto scaling, and it's highly available. Health check, it support. You can define a health check in your application, and let's say your health check failed, so then after elastic ELB doesn't send the traffic to that instance. So it support session stickiness. If you want to route the request to the same instance, you can use session stickiness, and also it support CloudWatch monitoring. Um let's move to the storage. The main storage is S3. I'm not going to talk about much more about S3, because we have deep diving session about S3 in next few hours. So Chaturanga will continue that S3 part hereafter. So I'll give a rough details about S3. So S3 provide better reliable service. The AWS guarantee 911 durability and 99.99 uptime. So you can upload objects uh, size. If you upload the object, its maximum size is 5 GB. Apart from that, if you upload more than 5 GB, you can use multi-part upload, and it support up to 5 TB size per object, and you can put access control, and you can restrict the access, and it supports server-side encryption, client-side encryption, and all encryption model it support. uh, and also it's about versioning. So if you want to use as a you can use the S3 as a artifact repository. You can put your object versions, and so mainly these S3 S3 storage, you can use as object store, and it's used CloudFront for distribute the object across the world. Okay, when it comes to elastic block storage, this is simply known as EBS. It has 1 GB to 1 TB size. You can directly attach this storage into your EC2 instance, and it's secure. You can apply a file system on top of the EBS, and whatever file system ext4, 3, and btrf. Although any file system is support, so it's secure. You can take the backup all those instances by taking a snapshot, and you can simply restore this backup without any delay. So that is the biggest advantage we can gain here. And also it support monitoring or the CloudWatch. You can set up the monitoring, your monitoring over CloudWatch, and uh, you can trigger any auto scaling policies or the elastic storage blocks. Okay, the other topic is database. Database. AWS provide the relational database service. There are a lot of relational database available in AWS. It support Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server, PostgreSQL. So just what you have to do is just launch the instance on the AWS console and deploy your database in that database server. So you don't need to worry about the database installation, configuration, replication control. All those things will take care of the AWS. Your overhead is very limited if you use a relational database service. And if you're planning to go with NoSQL database solution, so the best thing is the DynamoDB. I would rather recommend if you try to use Dynamo, if you try to use any NoSQL database solution, go with DynamoDB. It has it is very scalable, and it has very large throughputs. You can define your throughput according to your requirement, and it support strongly consistent and eventually consistent both consistent model. This is spread across the availability zone. Therefore you can't therefore there is no downtime, and this is very reliable service in AWS. Let's move to the application services. So when you deploy large application on top of the AWS, definitely you require these features. Amazon SQS, that means simple queue service, simple workflow. Amazon SES, that means simple email service. CloudFront. So Amazon SQS is the queue service. It support it's a very high scalable queue service. Now it support first in first out, and according to your requirement you can create queues, and it's scalable. You can use your applications. If you're trying to deploy large scale application, better to use this queue. And simple workflow. Simple workflow is another queue service. That means if your request need to keep up to 1 year, the simple queues, simple workflow you can use. Mainly this service used by the e-commerce site. That means they required they require to keep their messages more than 1 year. So but if you are running with the e-commerce site, you better to use with simple workflow. And Amazon SQS. So SQS is email service which provided by the Amazon Web Service, and it is scalable and high quality volume. It support high quality volume of emails. So if you try to use this very reliable service in AWS. And CloudFront. CloudFront is the uh, main component in AWS. So let's say let me describe more about CloudFront. Let's say you deploy your application on a auto scaling group, and auto scaling instance front by Elastic Load Balancer, and all your static content hosted on S3. So your web content access via different location in the world, let's say London, Paris, and New York. So when you access your content, so of course there will be a delay if you are not use CloudFront, because your region, let's say you hosted in Singapore region, so the you have to travel over the world and you can access your object. But if you use CloudFront, you can directly access your object from the edge location, and there won't be any delay. You can access your data from nearest edge location. That is the biggest advantage we can gain from CloudFront. Okay, when it comes to application deployment and admin topics, there are a lot of tools available in AWS. The main one is Elastic Beanstalk. This is just like Jenkins. You can create your stack on Beanstalk, and you can deploy your application. You can roll back your application, and you can easily manage your infrastructure with this Elastic Beanstalk. What you have to do is you can create Elastic Beanstalk stack, and you can deploy your code into the your. And CloudFormation also used for provision infrastructure, and this is very reliable tool. You can create the CloudFormation stack, and you can define your stack. You can define your resources. Based on that, if you execute your stack, it will create all underlying infrastructure with a single click. So it is very handy tool in AWS if you want to create uh, infrastructure. I think you better to use this CloudFormation service. And identity and access management. Let's say if you have 1,000 users, you need to grant access to your AWS console and AWS resources. You can simply create a group and give the group and roles, and simply give the access through the identity and access management feature. It support policies, roles, groups, and users. So when it comes to software development kit, we simply known as SDK. So it support Microsoft.NET, PHP, and Java, Python. We know it is Boto 3, Ruby, ISO, and Android. So if you are use any third-party tools such as Ansible or Terraform, in Ansible they use Boto 3, and Terraform they use their own provision the infrastructure. Okay. So these are advanced designing of AWS. I'm not going to cover those things because Chaturanga will do some hands-on things on those advanced things. So you can free to join the AWS. You can use this URL. It's free up to 1 year, and you can create a free account, and you can do your POC. It's free. You can try it out, and you can use it. Okay. So
guys, do you have any further questions to be asked from this panel? So if you have any question, please do not hesitate to put those things on our YouTube channel chat, or you can post it on our Facebook group page as well. So as a what I would like to say is Amazon is not Amazon is one of powerful cloud solution provided within the world, and it seems having kind of monopoly within the industry. So as you can see, because of this monopoly, we can have some pros and cons with that, because because of the higher use of AWS resources within the world, we have these things for like lesser price for a competitive price when you compare with these Microsoft Asia, Google Compute Cloud, and other providers. So when you like compare with their performances and extra, you can still have kind of best performance with AWS. But because of this monopoly kind of approach from Amazon, now as you guys know, the entire world got impacted due to their S3 issue last night for us, or last night or day before.
Yeah, day before.
Day before. So because of that, so it is always up to you to decide which software to use for like the correct location, and when you're designing with any cloud provider, I think first of all you have to identify your like the requirement that you plan, your redundancy using the provided tools. So I'm now heading out in this session to Chaturanga Vikramasinghe. So he'll be doing a demo using S3, and he'll be doing some demo on auto scaling as well. So Chaturanga, it is up to you.
Thank you, Damin. Yeah, thanks, Damit. Today I'm going to do the demo on S3. So it's as you said, Pratham give a brief about S3. So S3 is an object-based storage, so you cannot install operating system or database on it. So when it comes to S3, you have to create something called bucket. Inside the bucket, you can store files. So files can be up to 5 terabytes, and maximum file size would be the 5 terabyte. And when you upload the file, you can't upload directly more than 5 GB. You have to use the feature called the multi-part upload. So and apart from that, when you create an object, it has to be unique. You cannot duplicate the and there are some key features that I want to let you know about S3 is that it is having a read after write consistency for new objects. It's something like that when you put an object to a bucket without any delay, you can access directly. So and for there is an eventual consistency for the puts of modified puts and deletes. So let's say you having an object and you modified it, and someone else try to access it, that change may not be reflected. So I'm talking about here is microseconds. So there are some features like that as well. And apart from that, I want to emphasize on the storage classes. We having S3 standard, S3 infrequently access, and reduced redundancy storage. So in terms of the, depend on the situation, you can either select whatever the storage class you use, you can use. So if you are having a object that need frequently access, you can simply go to the standard class. So if it is if you are not going to use it much, if it is going to use it infrequently accessing, then you can use the S3 infrequently access class. And apart from that, reduced redundancy storage is mainly recommended for the objects that which can be reproducible easily. So depend on that, we can select the storage class. And there is another one called Glacier. So here that we are putting for archive data, and because an advantage is when it comes to price, it's very low. And apart from that, when you want to access the here, it will take 3 to 5 hours to retrieve the data. So so let me give some demo about S3. So I just want to go through those features on S3 so that you can have some idea about how those features going to apply. Right. So Let me share my screen with you. Yeah, hope you can all see my screen. So yeah, we are going to use the service called S3. So so like I said in the initial introduction, bucket whatever the region you prefer. So let me create a bucket. And you can actually select the whatever the region you prefer. So region which is close to you, you can select that region. So here I'm going to use London, not because I'm close to London, but I'm going to use this region for the demo purpose. Okay. Yeah, so from S3 we have so many options available. We can host a static website on S3 bucket, and we can enable logging, and we can when something upload to the bucket. And there is a feature called versioning, which is something very important. That versioning we can use as a backup tool. So whenever if you are delete an object accidentally, from the versioning we can retrieve it back. So it's something that is very important. And lifecycle management in the sense, like I said, there are storage classes. So for an example, let's say you having object, you put it the object to a standard class which is frequently accessing. From the time goes on, that object might not be that useful, right? So you can simply put it into the maybe infrequently access class. From infrequently access class you can put it into the glacier. So you can configure those things using lifecycle. So actually lifecycle can be applied with versioning as well. So I can let you know how it's going to work as well. And the cross region replication is another that S3 is offering. So when it comes to, let's say I have created the bucket in London, right? So I want it's in one region. So let's say I want to replicate those whatever the files in another region. So I can use a cross region replication feature. So let's say so I'm going to create another bucket actually to demonstrate how cross region replication is working. So so I'm going to create DevOps Singa, and I'm going to create that bucket in Singapore region. So another thing you have to remember is whenever you're using the cross-region replication, you have to enable the versioning in both source bucket as well as the destination bucket. My source bucket, let's say it's DevOps test 69. So I'm going to versioning. Okay, I'm going to enable the versioning for that. So another thing that you have to notice is that once you enable the versioning, you cannot disable it, only you can suspend it. So if you want to disable the versioning, you have to delete the bucket and create a new bucket as well. So yeah, we have enabled the versioning in DevOps test 69, and I'm going to enable it on the bucket that I created. Okay. So okay, I am going to now configure how to do the cross-region replication here. So again, you can go to the cross-region replication and can enable it, and you can select the region here. So I'm going to select the Singapore as I create the bucket in Singapore. Here you can, that bucket is listed down here. That is the only bucket that created in Singapore region for my account. You have to select the IAM role that in order to get the permission. So it will prompt you to create IAM role or select existing IAM role. So it is going to select the IAM role called this DevOps 69. So I actually already created that account, so that's why it's like that. So I'm going to allow it. I'm going to save it. Yeah, I think we are good to go. Let's say inside the DevOps test 69, there is no object stored. Let's go to Singa one, and there's no object here as well. Okay. So let me upload the file. And so you can see in DevOps test 69 Singa bucket also having that uploaded file. So that is called cross-region replication. So what you have to remember is that whenever you need to replicate among regions, you have to enable the versioning in both source bucket as well as the destination bucket. Okay, so another feature that I want to show it to you is that let's say we have accidentally deleted whatever the file that we want, so we want to restore it back. So if I check this show button here under the versioning, so you can see there is a version, like we have already set up the versioning enabled on this bucket, so version IDs can be seen here. So let's say I'm going to delete this image accidentally. So okay, so when I go to show here, you can see there is a delete marker, right? So now when it goes to hide, the object is already deleted, so it's not showing there. So if I want to restore it, what I need to do is that I have to delete the version ID which is having the delete marker. If I close this, you can see there's a delete mark over here, right? So I'm going to delete it now. Okay, so I'm going to hide that. You can see that the object is restored back. So that is a cool thing about versioning. So once you enable, whenever we required that, we can use as a great backup tool. Okay, so now I'm going to demonstrate about how we can host static website. So for that, I need a domain. So I already having a domain called, let me show you, it's a domain called poc.smhost.net. So if you want to do this demonstration, you have to have your own domain from the domain registrar. So again, I'm going to create a bucket. This has to be the same URL that I am going to the website. So let's say I'm going to test3.poc.smhost.net. Okay, it's over here. So so now I am going to upload a file or a HTML file. Okay, so I have to give the permission to view. Currently, through view. So I'm going to give the permission as public. So when it comes to bucket security, what you have to remember is that whenever you create a bucket, by default the bucket is in private, and you can use access control for a bucket using bucket policy and access control leaks. And apart from that, on the security perspective, you can create. You can have access log. You can have the login details, so you can configure that one as well. So I'm going to show you that one as well. So I'm going to make it public. You can simply go to actions and click on make public. So you can see that blue color icon that it's saying that it's public, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to service called via Route 53, which is the DNS service for S3 AWS. So I already created a host and so on for my poc.smos.net. So simply I have to create a record here. So my bucket name is test3.poc.sms.net. So again, I need so I'm going to give a canonical name here, and I have to enter the value here. So for that I need to again go to the S3 and need to check the URL. Okay. So before that I have to enable static website hosting here. So I'm going to enable the static website hosting, and you have to give the index document. In my case, it is hello world.html. Okay, I'm going to get the endpoint from here. Then I put it into put it over here. Okay, I'm going to create it. Hope I haven't made any mistake in the configuration. Let's see. Let me check what went wrong there. Maybe I didn't save it.
DNS timeout could have some issues.
Yeah. Yeah, there could be a DNS issues.
Why don't you clear DNS cache from command?
Wait.
Is it test 3 or test 0?
Yes, it's test 3. HTML.
It's working. It's working with. So let me paste on chat because we may be having some internal DNS issue something. I have. So if you go to that URL,
Yeah.
on the chat window, go to that URL. So it is showing that it is available. So there is nothing wrong with your thing. Just go here. Chat window. On chat window, this one. Just click on this link. Google says it is working.
Okay.
We have some internal DNS issue or something because it is currently pointing.
Okay. So
It's a loop.
okay. Okay, that is about S3. So let me. That's okay. Right,
It's
yeah.
okay.
It's okay. Maybe it's take time to propagate the DNS. That's right.
For me, it is working. Yeah. For
Now
me,
it's
it
working.
is working. If I want, I can share.
So just go to the new browser. New browser. Let me check with another browser.
No, working.
Yeah, it's working.
DNS issues.
Yeah. Okay. So hope you have understanding about how to do a website hosting on S3. So yeah, next as time goes on, next step I would take as to demonstrate about the auto scaling. So let me jump into the EC2 service. Currently there are 3 instances. Okay, anyway, I'm going to create a load balancer here. So why we need auto scaling? So for an example, you think like this. So you having an application that required 3 servers to cater the load. So what happen if suddenly one server goes down? What is going to happen? So your application won't be able to cater the requirement, right? So auto scaling comes into the picture where he'll maintain the number of servers that we need to keep, right? Apart from that, let's say for an example, we are receiving high load, so we need to increase the instance count. I mean, we need to have more application servers. So scaling, we can do it through auto scaling. And let's say we don't have much load, so we don't have to have more EC2 instance. Simply we can reduce the instance. Again, for shrink, we can use auto scaling as well. So for that, I'm going to how we can do that. Here I'm going to go to the load balancer. Here I'm already having a load balancer, so I'm going to create another load balancer. So we have 2 application load balancer and the classic load balancer. Main difference is that application load balancer is taking routing decisions at the application layer. For the classic load balancer, it's take decision on either transport layer or application layer. So here I'm going with the application load balancer. Okay. continue it. Let's say to name as test CLB2, and the load balancer is internet facing, and it's IP version 4, and the load balancer protocol again. HTTP, and we are listening on port 80. So here we are using the default VPC, and we need to select the both availability zones, right? So for ELB, so availability zones, we having two availability zones. Actually, ELB, why we need ELB is that we can uh, we can distribute load among availability zones, right? For if you want to distribute load between regions, 53 service. So here I'm using availability zone to availability zones. Okay, we can use the existing security group, or you can create a new security group here. So I'm using LBSG security group, which I already created, and it's enabled the port 80 for everyone. And for target group, we have to create a new one because I haven't created anyone. So in the target group, we can have a target instance there, right? Yes, EG2. So I can give the health check as health check.html. So this is the settings that we can check the health check. So the time intervals that we can define there. So I'm going to move it on. So since we don't have, we have instance, but these are all instances. So I'm going to create auto scaling. So from after that, I can register the instances. Okay, load balancer is already there. So it's provisioning. Let me check the target groups. So this is the one. So currently no targets there. So okay, now I'm going to create the auto scaling group. Before that, we have to create the launch configuration. So it will prompt to create the launch configuration before the creating auto scaling group. Okay, let's say create a new launch configuration. So this is where we have to give the spec. What is the operating system we are using? What is the type? I mean T2 mic. What is the? Let me show you. Oh yeah, what is the instance type that we are going to use? For here, I'm going to use T2 micro. Okay, we'll give a name to a launch configuration. Okay, I'm not going to use spot instance, and neither I am roles. So so here I'm going to install Apache and host a small website. So in that under the user data, I'm going to do that. So I'm a small script here. Uh, right, so here I'm going to install the httpd. Then under the var html, I'm going to index file. There's hello world, and there's a index file health check. I am healthy. Index file as healthcheck.html. So I'm going to start the service here. Restart. So make the service available. I'm check config http on it. So here I'm going to access this whatever the instance publicly. So I'm going to assign this public IP. So I have to select this one. So and next thing is adding a storage. Like you said, for EBS there are 3 types of storage: general purpose SSD, provision IOPS, and magnetic. So actually, if we using having need high network throughput, we can go with the provision IOPS. So general purpose is comes with up to 10,000 IOPS. If you need more than 10,000 input output operations, you can simply go with provision IOPS. So in my case, I'm going with the general purpose SSD. Okay, for security group, again, I can create a new one, existing one. So I'm going to select existing one. So here I have enabled port 80 and port 22 for everyone. Okay, let me review it. Okay, I'm going to create the launch configuration. So here you have to select a key. If the key is not there, you can create a new key pair in order to log in. So I could acknowledge it and create a launch configuration. Okay, now I'm going to create the auto scaling group here. Test AG2. So here I'm defining how many instances I need. So for this demo purpose, I'm going to create 3 instances. And again, I'm using the default VPC. And for subnets, this is something very important. So when you select the subnet, you have to select the whatever the available subnet. So what happen if you select one subnet is that if something goes wrong for that subnet, then the whole application going to down, right? So you have to select the both the subnets, or you can say availability zones, right? And there is advanced details. Like I said, if we want to here load balancer, we can add the load balancer. So we are going to do it later. Target group is already created. We can do it here, or we can do it later. So still it is there. I'm going to assign it target group in here. Let's say so health check grace period, I'm going to reduce to 60. So otherwise it will take time to detect. Okay. So so I'm going to keep this group as initial size. So if you need scaling purposes, like I said, let's say you having application, if high load is coming, you want to scale it, you can simply use this feature, right? So here you can add new alarms. Let's say if the CPU utilization is more than 90%, you can tell to add more instances. I'm not going to do that. So in the for shrink also we can do the same. If it is less than let's say 10%, you can reduce the instance. So here I'm not going to use that. Simply I'm going to use the keep the initial size. Okay, and so notification, there is some in the simple notification service, there's something called topics. So what you can do is you can subscribe to those topics, and whenever something published in this in the topic, the subscriber will get the notifications. So again, here we are not going to use it. Again, it's a different topic that we need to master in about. Okay, I'm going to tag this one as scaling group 2. I'm going to review it. So auto scaling group is going to create. So we can see how instance going to provision. So these are the three instances that is going to provision, and you can see that status check is still in initializing phase. This is something very important. What is status check? So in this row, you can see two out of two. It's telling checks, right? So what do you mean by two out of two? It's about there are two actually AWS. He's checking two status checks. What is his system status check, and other one is instance status check. System status check is simply is looking at the underlying host, and the instance status check is simply looking at the operating system or software. So if both these checks are failed, then only it's the instance is okay to use. Right, normally what we are doing is sometimes, let's say system status check is fail, what we can do is we can simply stop and start the instance. So then it will create the VM in another underlying host. So if instance status check fails, what we can simply do is reboot in the instance. So likewise we can troubleshoot those things as well. So still it is initializing phase. Let's see whether we can access our site over here. Yeah, you can see that the site can be accessed from here. So let me add that to my load balancer. The target group. Uh, Simply you can do it by adding to the auto scaling group. Um, okay, the SSG2 is already there. Let me check with the load balancer or target groups. So you can see three instances are there. So those are the three instances that we created under auto scaling group. So you can see that under the auto scaling groups, these three instances are in healthy state, right? So let go to the load balancer. So let me check with its name whether it's working. So you can see that the hello world can be retrieved, that it's from the backend application servers. Right. So let's see what is going to happen if I delete one instance. Let's say I'm going to terminate this instance. Okay, 0C5. let's check on the auto scaling group. Not detected in auto scaling group. Let's say whether the load balancer could detect it. Yeah, you can see only 2 instances are only there, right? So one instance has gone. So we have to wait until auto scaling group is identified that instance is down and he's triggered to provision another instance. Okay, it's terminated. Let's say auto scaling group whether it's detected or not. So I'm checking in the target groups that if that instance is still it's taking as healthy in auto scaling group. So right, some point of time it's going to take this as unhealthy and going to provision. Yeah, now you can see it's unhealthy, right, over here. So so now he's detected that it's in unhealthy states. So let me go to the instance whether they are starting the provision. Let's see. Still no, right? So this could take some time actually. Okay, now you can see that there is a instance that is pending. Now it should show in the instances, right? Yeah, now you can see that there is an instance is spinning up, right? So status check is in initialization phase. So once this is done, we can assume that how auto scaling is work, right? So I think you have understanding about how auto scaling is work and how ELB is work. So, and I should apologize if I made a mistake and sudden as I as I heard from my colleagues that instead of ELB I'm telling S3. So I apologize for that, and so I'm a bit nervous at the same time, but thanks for my colleagues to pointing out that. So yeah, so excited about this actually this live session. This is the first time we are doing it, and it was a great experience to me, and I should thanks the Damit and the co for giving this opportunity to us and make express those things. So I think Damit, we are good with that demo, so you can take it.
Hi guys. So I think now you guys have kind of like idea about how this AWS behaves and how do we create a sample infrastructure setup with highly available infrastructure and how we manage it using auto scaling groups and attaching it to elastic load balancers and etc. So let's uh, observe about newly release what you call new tool from AWS. So as you know, previously GoDaddy had kind of a monopoly within hosting services for VPSs and etc. And people used to move away from GoDaddy because of these their sudden downtimes and etc. So they had some DNS DDoS issues previously, and so because of that, people left GoDaddy services during last couple of years, and because of AWS, like templates and etc., they used to create some new servers and instances on top of AWS, but sometimes it also got failed because of kind of lack of knowledge between the within these people about how to manage these services and etc. So as a solution, AWS came up with a nice tool called Lightsail, isn't it? So now you can use Lightsail to have your website hosted without having any further issues. It is pretty much like GoDaddy's interface previously, or PlayScan, etc. And let's see how it is works, and let's have a demo from Amila Kumarnayaka regarding the features and the facilities offered by AWS Lightsail. Now, Amila, it is up to you to present these things.
Thanks, Amit. Thanks, Damit. As Damit mentioned, AWS is a great tool for providing solutions, but the complexity can be troublesome if you are not that familiar with the AWS concepts. So what I'll show you guys is AWS Lightsail, which is a very easy to use tool for anyone who doesn't have exposure to AWS. So this new service is also coming under EC2. So if we go into the compute section, we can see the Lightsail section. Actually, the first impression you get is it's a pretty simple interface. So anyone who doesn't have a great technical knowledge of AWS would not be confused by it. So let's see how we can create a simple WordPress site using this Lightsail service. I'll go into this create instance section. Under there, you have several set of templates that you can select from. Here we have WordPress, LAMP stack, if you want Node.js, or mean stack, or if you just want to get an Nginx deployed. There are several predefined set of templates. So since what I want to do is just configure a WordPress, I'll be using this WordPress template. So think there's a requirement that I wanted to add some custom information. In that case, I could add a shell script here to add those information. But for now, I'd not be using that. And I will be creating a separate key to log into the server. So I'll expand there. Let's give a name to the key. So after creating the key pair, make sure that you download the key right now. So as you can see here, there are several set of keys that are listed. Make sure you enable the right key that you created. And the other important fact, the payment plan. So as you can see, there are several set of options that we can select from. And the most cost effective one would be the $5 monthly plan. Actually, this would come with a free 1 month trial, and the resources are also decent. And anyway, if you want to get something bigger and with better capacity, you could select other plans. But if it is just a matter of quickly hosting a website, you could simply go for the $5 monthly plan, or it's just up to you depending on your budget. And the other great thing is we can utilize the high availability of the AWS data centers. So from here, if we want to change the availability zone, I can select availability zone from this region. Actually, there's a limitation as of now. We can only select availability zones from Virginia region.
There's a reason for that because AWS itself, they are releasing the initial solutions within Virginia first, then only they do roll out within the entire world, because they do have their excess capacities and etc. within Virginia. So if you can see, other services also, all betas and alphas only provided within Virginia, right?
Yeah, and I think that's where they started as well. So we'll go ahead and create the instance. This would take a couple of minutes to create. Actually, the other benefit is we can just get snapshots also. There's a option to take snapshots as well. So rather than it is actually easy to get the snapshot. It's just clicking on the server you have and just mentioning a snapshot. I'll show how to get the snapshots later. So what I'm trying to do now is log into the server and check what we have there. So first I'll change the permission to the key. So you might wonder where I got this username to access the server. So let's go and see where it is. So if I go into and select the instance, there I can see the public address that I should connect into, I should be using. So let's see if there's a WordPress site installed there. Okay, now I want to do some changes and get into the WP admin. So I want to get the password and the username. User would be, default user is user. Actually, the password is created inside the instance that we have set up. So this information actually can be searched in the Bitnami documentation itself. So I'll check what is the default password that it is set up with. Here we have a fully functional WordPress site installed just in a couple of minutes. Isn't it easy? So I earlier mentioned that I would show how we could get backups. So we'll go there and see how we could do that. So if I want to take a backup of this server, what I have to do is go into the snapshots section, create a snapshot. Actually, this would be the same as EC2's instance snapshots that we could take, but AWS has hidden the complexity of the EC2 interface. Also, if we move into the other options available into the networking section, we can see that we can configure firewall rules also. This is actually a simplification of AWS security groups. So this is a nice interface to easily manage the security group relevant to this server. Let's see whether that snapshot is complete. Actually, it's taking some time. We will just skip and move on. So if we go to the snapshots section, you can see that there's an option to create new instance from the snapshot. This is a previous snapshot that was taken just for the demo. So we won't be waiting till the current snapshot is complete. And because that's it for the demonstration on setting up a WordPress site using Lightsail. Over to you, Damit. I think we could discuss about certifications and all that.
Thank you very much, Amile. So let me take the control back. Okay, guys. So as of now, you guys, I think, may have learned something new about AWS, or you guys may get some interest about how this is working and etc. So let's come back to examination section. So with when it's come to AWS, there are a couple of examinations available for you to do. So for that, I would like to invite Chaturanga back to the conversation, and he will describe you regarding what are the available examinations and how do you get pass through it, and how do you do your studying and etc. to get it done. So it is back to you, Chaturanga.
Yeah, thanks, Damit. In AWS, we have three associate level exams. One is AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate, and AWS Certified Developer Associate, and AWS Certified SysOps Administration Associate. So out of these three exams, I would say SysOps is the most difficult one, and I should say developer one is much easier. But in architect exam, I mean solution architect exam is in like mid range. So from those three exams, associate level exams, they are asking about the different perspective about AWS services, how they're going to apply it. So when it comes to solution architect, actually the exam domain include that design of highly available and scalable systems and implementation and deployment in AWS. So and AWS related data security practices, disaster recovery techniques, and troubleshooting, etc. So you have to be much thorough about those things when it comes to solution architect. And the developer exam, it's more about developing and maintaining AWS based applications, right? And you really should know how to write actual code that use AWS provided software to access AWS applications from within your business applications. And for SysOps administration, it's more into actually it's need to know about how provisioning systems, managing and securing them. Actually, they are the key requirement of the system administrator job. So you need to understand how to do all those tasks in AWS and all. So this is something challenging. So I did all three associate level exams. So and SysOps something that I come up with very difficult to pass and need more hands-on experience on that. So again say that again you can't simply go to the exam without having hands-on experience. You have to have a good understanding about
it. But you could do it for architect.
Architect maybe. So Damit completed architect without any hands-on experience. So I don't think so. Anyway, so yeah.
But better you guys should have hands-on experience.
Yeah.
Right?
So yes, don't try it. Don't try it. So it's altogether $150. So don't lose $150. And when it comes to professional level, we having DevOps engineer certification, certified solution architect professional certifications. So we haven't done those things in actually my colleagues still haven't done it. So we are planning to complete this one as well. So I don't have much understanding about what would be coming to the DevOps, I mean professional level exams.
Yeah, so for the architect exam, you have to, so it is more into like structuring your infrastructure and etc. So they're more into ask very essay-like questions rather than coming to simple multiple choice questions. So in that case, you have to clearly go through those questions and select this exact answer. So it is very hard because they do some magic with wordings and etc.
Yeah.
As Sri Lankans, so we have some problems understanding
Mm.
some English. So they use those barriers. Come to a real solution when you are like deploying something to a real organization. You have to go through a set of details and you have to get some information. So it is like analyzing the problem and analyzing the requirement and coming up with a solution. So that is the way they have created that exam.
So yeah, Damit, so that is about the exam point of view. So our advice would be to do much hands-on experience as possible, so you can have a clear understanding what is going through those things. So yeah, Damit, so you can take over.
Oh. Okay, so thank you very much for coming for this session. This is our very first live session, and we started this thing with very limited infrastructure facilities. So the thing you are seeing back of me, it is generated by a project, and so we are in kind of a very abnormal light condition, and we messed with that what you call whiteboard demonstration because our like ceiling lights are directly hitting to the whiteboard. So sorry about that, and we can keep improve ourselves for our next session. So we'll be definitely selecting another meeting room for the coming presentation. So, and I would like to thank. So let's come forward. uh, Patum.
Hello guys.
Hi. Patum, Chaturanga, Amila, and Amila for their contributions. And we have another guy over sitting over there, and he's the one who's looking after these sessions and quality and etc. Irgo, you can come forward. So Irik is the one who is looking at this channel, and he's the one who gives us the feedback regarding the qualities, sound quality and video quality. And we are looking forward to give you guys kind of a very good experience within our next session. So we'll be definitely using this experience and the polls we did during this session to keep improve our next coming up sessions clearly and neatly to you guys. So anyway, if you have missed this, like if you guys miss a part of this conversation, you can always go back and start from the beginning. So that facility would be there. And meanwhile, we'll try to download this clip and distribute in other medias also. So thank you very much. And we expect your feedback on our YouTube channel and DevOps.lk as well.
And if you guys have any questions, you can directly post on our YouTube, Facebook channel. And if you need any help when you're designing your infrastructure, you can directly post or message us. We can happy to help you guys. So we have expert knowledge here.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, that's all. And let us stop this broadcast right now. And really appreciate your presence over here to watch our what you call this presentation from the start to end. And see you next time. And keep in touch with DevOps.lk. See you guys. Bye.